do you remember any aspects of like the process of getting started with treatment?
Well, when I met Leslie for the first time, I think she took my blood. Um,
Yeah. You meet people and you never really know or understand their struggles because she was such a light, but she had such sad eyes.
Welcome to Real Human Interviews, where we speak with people about their lived experience with mental health treatments that are barely known. Our guest for this episode is Saraa. Now, 12 years ago, she faced major mental health struggles until she ran into a little-known treatment called TMS, or transcranial magnetic stimulation. 12 years later, she's still doing well today. Now, for those that don't know, TMS, or transcranial magnetic stimulation, is a treatment that involves using magnets to gently stimulate the part of the brain associated with depression. It can also be used for OCD, smoking addiction, anxious depression, and I believe there's some other indications, but depression has been the main one. TMS for depression has been FDA cleared, which means FDA approved for medical devices since 2008. It is a simple, non-invasive treatment with minimal side effects and regularly covered by insurance. Most importantly, it works incredibly well. Now, there have been over 6,000 studies in the last 20 years alone, and while broader research shows remission in about 1/3 to 1/2 of patients, newer treatment protocols show remission rates as high as about 65%, a huge jump from traditional meds and therapy. Now, the goal of this show is to highlight the resilience of our guest while also shedding light on life-changing treatments that currently live in the shadows. The goal here is not to convince you to try the treatments yourself. The goal is simply for you to know that they exist. Now, with that said, I'd like to introduce you to Saraa. Thank you so much, Saraa, for joining us today and agreeing to share your story. It's really, really amazing that you've decided to do this because it's stories like yours that help to inform patients of their options and what's actually available to them. So thank you for being on with us.
yes, thank you for having me.
And also a special guest, we have Leslie here as well, which is really, really neat because Leslie was your TMS technician. Is that right?
She was, yes.
Leslie was the one who actually facilitated the TMS treatment for Saraa, who set up the coil and actually ran the treatment sessions for Saraa. And you said that was back in 2014?
Yeah, that was in 2014.
Yeah, I think it was, 2014.
I actually think it was during this time, February, because we had some ongoing jokes about February 14th.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, and it definitely went through because we had some ongoing jokes about Halloween too, I remember, about
We did.
Debbie.
Yeah, yes, we did.
Okay, well, I'm very, very curious about this whole Debbie situation. I don't, we might have to learn a little bit more about that at some point.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I will go ahead and start my questions here. So the first question here is, before you started TMS, how would your friends and family have described you as a person?
We had to do like a pre-TMS interview, and so someone I was close with had to come in and talk to the doctor. And I remember him saying that I was just generally very sad, and the metaphor he kind of used was that I tended to make mountains out of molehills, things that a normal person would consider a very small deal. It was a really big deal to me, and everything was like really dramatic, and I was just really sad all the time and like mopey and negative and tired, very tired. I don't know that I would necessarily pinpoint an exact moment where I started struggling with my mental health, because I've been struggling with my mental health for as long as I can remember.
So, but as things progressed, what were your days like when things were at their hardest?
Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a very social person. So when I get like withdrawn and isolated and stuff, that's how you know it's kind of bad. And so, yeah, I was just really antisocial, and I definitely skipped out on a lot of things that most people would say was like a part of their college experience. A lot of that stuff I skipped out on because I was just too depressed. I had tried several different medications. At that point, different combinations of medications. I had been in therapy on and off for several years, and it just felt like nothing was doing anything for me.
Well, especially because you're a social person too, from what you've said, and to feel like you were just there on your own, all alone in the world, I'm sure was just incredibly difficult. So now let's start to look towards the shimmer of hope that maybe started to emerge. How did you first hear about TMS?
I was seeing a therapist at the practice where Leslie worked. Her name was Melissa. I'll never forget her as long as I live. She used a specific term like treatment-resistant or medication-resistant depression or something like that. So she just brought up like, hey, we just got this like machine thing, and maybe you would be a good candidate for it.
First of all, this wasn't Debbie, right?
No, it wasn't Debbie.
I was just checking. I'm waiting for Debbie to just casually slip into this conversation, like, oh, and then Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie will slip
was
in
at the front
eventually.
desk. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll get there. It'll happen naturally.
I imagine I was very hesitant and like questioning about it because like, oh, I can use a magnet to solve your depression. Like, just kind of, if Melissa says it'll work, then it'll probably work. And like, I'll try anything at this point. Cause I definitely, I was in a really low place for sure. To my knowledge, I think they said that I was like the first person to ever have it fully covered by insurance. So that was really cool.
Wow. Well, who knows? Maybe it was that insurance payer's first approval for TMS of all time.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Know, I guess. You could be the first.
And as a special surprise, we have them on the line.
Okay, here's Cigna. Sarah, I'm so happy to hear about your experience, and thank God we were able to get you help. Yeah, exactly. So you tried everything at this point, like nothing has worked. It's not like you had any hope for the treatment working. It was just like, fine, whatever, is that accurate?
I remember at one point, I had to have someone who I was close with at the time come in and talk to Dr. Amy was her name, about just me and like how I was as a person and my depression. And I just remember hearing him talking about me and being like, he's talking about me. Obviously, I knew that I was depressed, but I didn't realize that I was like the person who, again, made mountains out of molehills or, stuff like that. I never realized that I was that person. So definitely hearing him kind of explain how I was to him was a big motivator for me to be like, yes, like, let's do it.
Yeah, and that's so interesting that was part of the process, because actually it's not really standard part of the process to have that, right, Leslie? It's kind of interesting that they had a different provider come into the psychiatric evaluation, right?
Like you said, it was your friend, but yeah, normally it's just like the patient advocating for themselves, really. But I love the fact that you did have somebody else there, because even as you're talking about it, it's so easily to disassociate yourself with yourself while you're struggling.
Do you remember any aspects of like the process of getting started with treatment and perhaps meeting Leslie for the first time?
Well, when I met Leslie for the first time, I think she took my blood.
Yes. I was
Potentially in getting ready for TMS, I don't remember.
Introduce
But
yourself.
yeah,
yeah,
I was real scared. I don't like needles, but yeah, Leslie was
Okay,
like,
so building
I got
trust
you.
right off the bat, Leslie. Building
Yeah.
trust right off the bat. It's like a trust fall to start
Yes.
the whole relationship.
yeah, absolutely.
I have to say, I am gonna toot my own horn. I was really good phlebotomist. Well, I was a medical assistant, and I was really good. So I always liked challenging veins.
Wow, she liked challenging
I
pain.
did.
She has that on her resume, actually, as special skills. I like challenging
Challenging
pain.
veins.
And, I've been in this field for so long because sometimes it's so real when people say you meet people and you never really know or understand their struggles, because she was such a light, but she had such sad eyes. And I do remember I had to draw her blood. It was not TMS related. We don't draw blood for TMS, but that was our first interaction. And then when I was talking to Melissa and she asked me about working with you to get you started, I remember being excited because a part of me wanted your sad eyes to go away. So
That's so cool.
For you, Sarah, what were the first signs that you noticed that TMS might be working for you, and then maybe that other people might have noticed, perhaps even before you?
I remember at some point, I don't remember what point in the treatment this was, but at some point someone told me that I had color in my face. Thinking back on it, I was able to have more fun. I found myself enjoying things more.
And I want to say, Sarah, that you had taken a picture of yourself on your first treatment. I remember that last picture when we were comparing like your first picture to your last picture. I'm like, yeah, your smile, like it looks genuine. We went from those sad eyes that I remembered initially, and now there was like a sparkle to your eyes. Yeah, so I definitely noticed a huge change.
No one ever said anything to me about my smile before I went through TMS. And now everyone is always like, oh my God, you have the best smile. And so
You really
it's
do
just
have a
kind of like a
great
cool
smile.
thing. Thank you.
Yeah, so was there anything about like the whole treatment experience that like surprised you?
It didn't hurt. I almost want to say that it like tickled almost. I think I probably realized after treatment how much it had actually helped. I was in the hospital for an eating disorder in 2017. Once I was eating regularly again, my same friend who came and talked to Dr. Amy told me, like, once I was eating regularly again, that I was like my same delightful self that he knew and everything. And I think that might be when I was like, TMS actually did something for me, because I never really saw myself as like this delightful, bubbly person. I think it was when I was at my lowest again and started coming back from that, I think that's when I kind of realized that TMS had made a huge difference for me. It definitely changed my perspective a little bit and gave me kind of a new outlook on what life could look like. I still can be kind of antisocial sometimes, but I definitely find myself enjoying going out and doing things. And I even find myself being the one to plan things sometimes, which is a big deal. I catch myself like smiling and laughing and having a good time. And I can definitely look back and see a point in my life where that was not the case.
If you had to describe your life now in just a couple words, what would you say?
I would say that my life is fun now.
That's
I
great.
love that.
One word. Hey, you know?
Yeah.
Literally, there is no better word
Mhm.
to describe your life than
Than
fun.
fun.
Like, right? I mean,
Yeah.
is there a better word? Oh my God. That's awesome. Okay, so now this is, really, really important part. Probably arguably one of the most important parts of this video, which is talking to others right now who are sitting on their couch, who are feeling incredibly hopeless. They feel like they're at their end of their rope. They've tried everything. They've tried meds. They've tried therapy. They've tried thinking positively, and nothing has worked. To those people, what would you say?
I know it sounds so cliche hearing someone say like, oh, like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That was very literally something that I like saw. Everything looked dark, and I literally got to a point where I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. I would definitely recommend asking about TMS for sure, if that is like an option. It sounds very woo woo, you know, like, oh yeah, we can use a magnet to like help you with your depression. It'll, you know, it sounds very weird, but it'll sneak up on you for sure. It's a whole like lovely experience going through the treatment. The experience of going through it is just truly like delightful.
That's awesome. And then I guess really the last question is for Leslie. You're here with Saraa right now. What do you want to say to Saraa about your experience through her journey, her own experience, and, you know, continuing forward?
Yeah, I'm just so proud of her for taking that risk because honestly, you know, I sat in that room with you every single day. We laughed, and again, the second your laugh became more genuine, the second that your smile became brighter, it made me so happy for you. You know, after all of these years, again, you know, just being able to see you and see that you're thriving and that you're actually having fun in life and that you're happy as a friend, as a technician, as a mental health advocate, I'm just so incredibly happy and proud of where you are now. So, yeah,
Thank you.
of course. It's February 13th, and I love you, Saraa.
I love you so much.
Oh my God, I feel so lucky that I get to be a part of this. Thank you so much, Saraa, for agreeing to do this.
That was the fastest hour of my life.
But is there anything else that you wanted to say, Saraa?
I think it's really important to make sure with your providers that you're being honest about where you're at. Be as honest as you can and be as like open and transparent as you can about what you're dealing with and what you're going through and how you're feeling. It makes a huge difference. Like my depression before was very like medication resistant, and now I've found I like to call it my cocktail of meds that really works for me. And I genuinely don't think that if I hadn't gone through TMS, I genuinely don't think that I would like be here having this conversation.
That's amazing. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your story. It's not easy to share your story, but it's so incredibly profound, and you are making an impact by being here and sharing your story. So like Leslie said, you should be incredibly proud of yourself for taking this opportunity and giving your time so that other people who are definitely struggling and just have no idea that it exists will learn about it from this video, you know, or sections of this video. It's going to help change people's lives. Like it will have a profound impact on people's lives. So
Yeah.
knowing that you're going to be impacting like hopefully dozens, if not, you know, maybe hundreds of people into finding this treatment and learning about it and trusting it from, you know, the things that you've said, you should just feel really, really good about that and proud of yourself.
I do. Thank you.
That was Saraa. 12 years later, she's still doing well and still has a great smile. Stories like this matter, not because it tells you what to do, but because it expands what you originally thought was possible. So if this story meant something to you, please share it with someone who might need it. This is Real Human Interviews, helping people see what's possible in mental health.